Hello, everyone. It's Andy for another episode of Cocktail Hour, and I always act like, "Oh, wow, what am I supposed to do?" Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we're here. I think it's episode 162. I think I heard somewhere. Yeah, so we're glad you're here, and here's my other fellow reprobates. Go ahead.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah, I have a feeling that this whole episode is just going to be like that.
yeah, we're all struggling with something today. So, yeah, we're not as as energetic as usual. So let's start off with what we're all drinking and what cup we're all using. What is that?
Oh, this is my Sergeant Pepper glass,
Yeah, man.
Nice.
which is holding a lime margarita.
Oh, I could have used
nice.
those. Damn. Huh. Well, I'm taking a page from Sherry's book. I'm having just flavored water. Nothing exciting. I think it's like grape. I don't know. Something. It's good, but
I don't even know what flavor it is.
I think I got several of those little stirrers, where you.
Oh, yeah.
So I just picked one off the counter and sprayed it and spray and go.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Seems like if it was grape, you would have noticed by now, though.
I don't know.
Because nothing
What's that
grape
color?
flavored is good.
It's grape. It's grape.
Yeah, it's because it's like Kool-Aid or
Yeah.
some crap.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jerry, what
So,
you drinking?
wait, I just want to touch on something real quick. So not only are raisins off the table, but now grapes also, or just grape flavored things?
I think you guys would concede that grape flavored things, they don't taste like grapes.
They don't, but they're still delicious.
They
Grape
are
soda,
not delicious. They are
grape
gross.
Jolly Ranchers.
Like knee-high grape soda is vile.
I don't know who you are.
That weird neon purple color that doesn't really occur in nature, but here I am. And yeah, anything grape flavored is usually pretty awful. It just doesn't taste normal. Right? It tastes like a mistake, a lab created mistake.
It tastes like a mistake.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of my cooking. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to share that this is our 11th anniversary episode. So we have been doing Cocktail Hour we've done a full 11 years. We are now moving into our 12th year of doing this show.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy. You would think that we would be better by now.
What's even crazier is we used to do 2 books, every 2 weeks? Wasn't that how it first started?
Yeah. Yeah, we were doing 2 books every 2 weeks.
But you were also doing like fanfic too, so it wasn't as heavy a lift.
True.
It still felt like it. I mean, we would do because some of that fanfic is as long as a book.
It depends on who we were reading. Some of them could have 400 or 500 pages.
Yeah, just insanity. So so we would do a lesfic book. Sometimes we do 2 different lesfic books or a fanfic and a book. But it was insane. And we've had a lot of adventures. We've had guests who have rallied the community against us and said that we robbed the joy from her writing life. We had one who did that, and
I remember that like it was yesterday. Oh my God.
It does. It was insanity. But we've made a lot of really good friends.
In spite of
ruining a few careers, apparently.
But you know what? It's okay to have an opinion that differs, if you're calling it how you see it.
And on that particular one, I feel great about taking a stand because
you did too. You were like,
I did. Rape is rape, no matter the circumstance.
Whether you're a slave or not. That was the thing that really got to be contentious.
Yes. So, I mean, I was okay with taking that one. That was good. But no, we haven't really gotten a lot better. What we have done is, I feel we are much more relaxed about it.
Yeah.
If we've kind of decided, I think this was mostly Andy, like, you know what? I don't give a shit if anybody ever watches a single fucking episode of this show. I just want to sit here with you two and talk about something that we read. And since I mean, we got rid of the website. All we do is this right here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you catch it, you catch it. If you don't, that's okay. We're not mad at you.
Yeah, it's a lot less pressure. It's a lot more fun, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have that anxiety of trying to get sponsors and people to come in and guest star. Well, you know, it's just chill, man. It's just, hey, look who's on.
Hey, Carol.
We're
glad that you watched too.
So it's much more relaxing, you know. And if we want to take some time off, we take some time off.
And you know, I think we take less time off now than we used to. You know, like burnout was a huge issue for me. I mean, we went that one like 6 months where I wasn't supposed to be involved in the show, and I still ended up being involved in like every episode in one way or another. But I don't feel any stress about this at all anymore. Yeah. It's like, let's go hang out. You know, and that's the end of it. And if we have some friends like Carol show up and watch with us, or Pixie or anybody, we're like, great, awesome.
They can watch us just burn a book to the ground.
I honestly have no idea what's going to happen with this episode. But anyway, so this is our 11th anniversary episode. I broke out the sparkling cider, and I'm drinking it. Yeah, and I'm drinking it out of my special Sprecher glass that I got when Andy came to visit.
Nice.
And we did the Sprecher Brewery tour.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was. So cheers, my friends.
Cheers.
Here's to another 11 years of,
there you go.
Of reading shitty books and talking about them.
And every once in a while, we'll get a little jewel, and we'll be like, "Oh my god, that was great!
It was spectacular.
I know.
Who saw that coming? Yeah, that was not this book.
No. All right. Okay.
All right. So the book. You want me to introduce the book?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So it was my fault, y'all. I was on Scribd and I was checking out some stuff to read. You know, I like that true crime stuff. And I came across this book by an author I've never heard of, Steve Cavanagh. And he has, I guess, an Eddie Flynn series. And I think this is the 4th book in that series. And it's called 13.
Is.
Mm-hmm. And it can be read standalone. And I'm really glad that I read it standalone, because if I had to go through the shit that he mentions in book 4 in his personal relationships, I swear to Christ, I would have shaved my head and just flipped out. Just saying. So that's what we decided to read, 13 by Steve Cavanagh. And there you go.
Okay, so now initially, I know that, we had picked a different book. We had picked Nottingham by Anna Burke. And, Colette had already purchased the book and was excited about reading it. And we used some of our donation money and purchased the ebook. And then Andy also purchased the audiobook. And 2 of us attempted to read it so diligently and just could not do it. And the 3rd of us was so thankful that that she didn't even start it, that we just moved on. But so we bought 2 different versions of the book, and didn't use either one of them. So 3. We bought 3 different versions of the book because you had bought the
paper,
right?
Yeah.
Well, we're supporting Lesfic, so
we support the authors.
Consider it a win.
Yeah. I'm still planning on trying Compass Rose. Is that the name of that other one?
Yeah, I have that one. I haven't read it either.
And, so Megan was also reading Nottingham when we decided to read it. And she sent me just one single message that was something about, she was really irritated because somebody said something about going to have a cup of tea, but tea hadn't been introduced into that area for like another 100 years or something.
Oh, wow.
So she was, I didn't talk to her about it again, so I don't know if she finished it.
Nothing like a good old anachronism.
She was irritated. I'm like, I wouldn't even have noticed that.
I wouldn't have either, honestly.
Okay, so let's talk about 13.
Let's.
I just want to say first off that I really liked it. I thought it was fun. So I went into it with absolutely no expectations, and it met every one of them.
So I feel like I didn't have any expectations either, but yeah, it was very early where I wanted to just flip the table.
All right. Okay, so let's get into it. So this book, and I agree with you, Andy. You know, and it was funny because I said, oh well, maybe I'll go and we've got lots of time. Maybe I'll just start the series. And Andy's like, why don't you go ahead and finish this one first, and then you can decide. So Eddie Flynn is a con man turned defense attorney.
Sure.
So. Oh. Oh my God. So you object to the entire, just personal premise.
Yeah, I mean,
he
kind of rode in on a fucking unicorn for as realistic as all of this was. But you go on.
But you know what? No,
we should probably say that there's going to be spoilers.
Oh, yes. But you know what? We didn't read the first 3 books. So if we read the first 3 books, maybe we would.
That's where the unicorn was.
He went to law school riding the unicorn.
Maybe.
Yes. Yeah. So by the time we get to Eddie, he is and his best friend is a judge, which I'm sure has something to do with him being a con man, and the judge probably helped him to realize his full potential. I'm guessing. I don't know. I would assume that would be what would happen. So he is hired for reasons I have no idea.
He was hired because he isn't afraid to go after the police.
The police, right?
That's why he was hired.
So we have a hotshot actor who has been accused of murdering his wife and her bodyguard / lover, and he claims he's innocent, but refuses to tell his lawyer where he was during the time in question, which is stupid in today's world.
It sure is.
Yeah, I mean, if this. So anyway, it turns out, because we're doing spoilers, it turns out that the actor is gay, right? And was hanging out with his boyfriend, which really didn't take a lot to kind of figure out. But he refuses to tell. He could get get away. He could get completely exonerated, but he doesn't want to out his boyfriend.
Would rather go to prison for a double homicide
right.
that he's a gay actor in Hollywood.
Because then his acting career will be gone.
Is absolutely
he's like a young Tom Cruise or some such. Yeah, that I agree with that.
I mean, so he was with his boyfriend who, could provide him with an alibi, but that's okay. That's okay. We don't need to worry about any of that.
So
really start with the opening of the book is when this serial killer kills a postman. Because and this was like, when you talk about jumping the shark, man, we started on the shark. As far as I was concerned. Right? So this serial killer kills a postman because he is delivering jury duty notices to people.
He has just picked up jury notices from the courthouse. He's been the serial killer has been camped out at the courthouse pretending to be a homeless dude for 3 weeks. Isn't that what he said? 3 weeks.
It was a while. I don't remember how long, but yeah.
But so he kills the postman and then he steals the jury duty notices so that he can see who is going to get called for jury duty, because somehow he knows what case they're going to be put on. Not really sure how any of that works.
Thought about that, because there's only one case going on in New York City.
There's only one case at a time. Of course.
Oh, fuck. I hadn't even thought about that.
Very methodical process, which he apparently does all the time.
Yes, so yeah, he's done this many times before.
Right.
That turns out to be one of his main things and that's eventually how they catch him, by looking at juries of previous people who had So, I'm really glad we didn't talk about this while I was reading, because I was enjoying it, just la 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 la.
So, so apparently he gets on the jury of every case of every person that he's ever killed. And the way that he does that is that he assumes one of the jurors' identities by no fucking shit, breaking into their home, recording them saying some nonsensical sentence, like the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Assimilates their look and voice immediately.
He broke his own nose to resemble
and
this
ate
dude.
Some fatty things so that he would put on. And apparently none of these jurors have a family or anyone who can identify them on sight.
Right,
so he drifts into the courthouse as this person. And in this instance, he didn't make the jury. He was an alternate. So he's just started killing people on the jury, as you do.
So he killed one person to get on the jury, because she sat in his seat and ended up the 12th person, and he ended up the 13th person. So he had to kill her so that he could be the alternate and got in.
She couldn't live, yeah.
And then there was some other juror who was like some hipster shithead.
Yeah, he, I guess, seemed a little too sympathetic to the defendant. So
he set him up. No, he didn't get killed. That was Spencer, who he wrote down the guilty thing and threw it on the floor.
That's right. So he got him kicked off, and then he killed the other dude.
Manuel. He killed Manuel.
Right.
Yes,
or Miguel. This is all apparently pretty normal for jury duty.
Yeah.
Those of you out there who have done jury duty knows that a number of people die while they're on the jury, and that just happens. That happens.
Which is why a lot of people don't want to serve on juries, because
you get like $32 or something for it.
I think he said it was $40 a day.
Yeah, I feel like that offsets.
Yeah.
So I caught like somebody had said something so-and-so, and he had a girlfriend called whoever, and then there was a windscreen comment, and I'm like, I don't know who wrote this, but I'm guessing they're not from America. And sure enough, he was from Ireland.
Thing, right? I did a little research on the author. He's Irish, which is fine. Even though he wrote about LA, whatever.
No, this was in New York.
Oh, that's right. But the people lived in LA, the Hollywood people. At any rate, he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
This guy's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Is he just bad? Is he just bad? Like, how does he not know how jury duty works? How does he not, how does it seem reasonable to him that he just kills everyone in his wake and nobody seems to, and it's like, oh, yep, that's Jerry. I work with him. Sure. He seems totally different, but that's Jerry, I guess, because when he said the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, it sounded like
Sounds just like him.
Totally.
The author's from Belfast, so maybe they do things a little bit differently over there.
Yeah, maybe they send all of the jury notices out at the same day and they all end up for the same case, you know?
Well, I think that the
Okay.
story should have been set in Belfast then.
I know, see, and that's the thing, you know, sometimes you just, I mean, I know that, that people say that, you know, folks don't want to read, Americans don't want to read books that are set elsewhere or,
Yeah.
you know, but you know,
I
right,
mean, just shame on us if that's true.
right.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me because God knows, I don't feel like in world history, it was really just the United States.
Well, I mean, we're the center of the world, so
Oh,
Right.
we are. We're the world's
And the
bullies.
universe.
hello.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so like I just read a few books, kind of becoming. I'm afraid to say this because one of you will go read one of her books and then tell me how shitty it was. Catherine, yeah, I think it's Catherine Ryan Hyde or Hyde Ryan something. I don't know. She wrote The Nowhere Man, and she's got a new one out called 56 Days that I got. About a murder that takes place during the pandemic on lockdown. And it was actually I enjoyed that one. But The Nowhere Man I really liked. And I think I may have suggested it for the show. And if I haven't, I wouldn't mind you guys. Oh, I don't know. You guys rip the shit out of things I like. So
I don't know about that. I mean, Colette's right. You know, this book had a few jump the shark moments, but it was still.
Is this
If you suspend your disbelief, right? If you suspend it and you just go with the flow, it's pretty fast to get through, right? Even though
it is. I mean, I thought the pacing was
time.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean,
fast read.
It was it
And there's a lot
wasn't
going on.
it wasn't you didn't have to slog your way through it, you know, to say, oh my God, I have to finish this, right? It was fun in its own way, but yes, it was very implausible for many different reasons. So, you know, if you want something that's just fun and don't think too hard about it, this isn't a bad story, honestly.
So I don't think you mean The Nowhere Man because that is by Lawrence Herzog, right?
Nope,
and it's
nope,
part
there's
of that Orphan X series that you like so much. So I think you're thinking.
I just read another one. I just read the fourth or fifth one in that, and then hold on, hold on, I will find it. But anyway, you know, and she's Irish and writes about mysteries and murdery shit in Ireland, and it was I discovered that I really enjoy it. I especially listening to the audiobooks because I love that accent. But you know, as an American, reading books that are set in other countries, I love that shit because I get to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I don't mind.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that Gillian Anderson series that took place in Belfast.
The fall.
Yeah, that was great.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Both seasons, not just. I mean, there were 3 seasons, weren't there? Was it 2 or 3? 2. I think it was 2.
I don't remember.
I don't remember a third season, but if it happened, it happened.
Yeah.
That was great, and that starred creepy guy from what were those not those BDSM
50 Shades.
From 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Which I didn't watch.
I didn't either. No.
He did a very good job playing that killer in the fall. Yeah.
He did, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the casting was perfect.
I wish that this book had been that.
Yeah. It would have been, I don't think we'd have had as many eye roll moments.
Okay, so to me, the main issues that I had were the plot obstacles that to me were just so improbable to get over these hurdles to not only this guy ends up on the jury of this murder case where he's the murderer, but that he does it all the time.
All the time.
It just
all the time.
Yeah, so it was just every time something would come up, I'd go, of course, because why not?
Yeah,
Of course
yeah.
he does this all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there were some other things that were really kind of cliche to me, right, about the main character, right? So of course he's this ex-alcoholic who is estranged from his wife, who he still loves, and their son, and
Daughter.
it was
a girl.
it was. Did we just never meet her?
No, we never met her.
Yeah, not in this book.
No, we did not meet her, but it was a daughter. And the book is called The Nothing Man.
Oh,
okay.
The Nothing Man. Okay.
Right. The Nowhere Man is Evan Smoke. Right.
So I don't know. It just felt, and of course, because this guy is so confrontational with the police, I mean, he gets a lot of ribs cracked. I'm just going to say it. He gets his ass
I know.
beat a lot.
What was this? God damn it. I can't remember his fucking name now. Eddie.
There's a lot of characters.
Eddie does get beat up a lot.
He
So
does.
okay, so we're kind of bouncing around. So we've got the serial killer who his MO is he kills a bunch of people and then pins them on random dudes who have something good happen to them. So how they kind of got on this how they kind of get into this is when the Hollywood actor's wife, his name is Bobby. So we got Bobby and Eddie and Harry and I think his daughter's name was Amy. Yeah. So when the bodies were discovered, there was a dollar bill origamied up into a butterfly shape, stuck in the mouth it was in the bodyguard's mouth, right? I think it was the bodyguard's mouth, not the wife's mouth.
I don't remember.
And when they did the DNA sample, the testing on the dollar bill, which is what they've named the serial killer dollar bill, there were fingerprints from. There was only one fingerprint from the actor Bobby. But there was DNA from two different people. There was DNA from Bobby and this dude whose last name was Pena, and I can't remember his first name. Richard, maybe, I don't know. So this other dude, but here's the thing. The dude, Pena, who had been convicted of being a serial killer years before, died before that dollar bill had been printed.
Yeah, in circulation. Yeah.
So the main defense attorney, who is from this rich company who hired Eddie because he could be confrontational with the police, and then if the judge and the jury didn't like that, they could fire him and it would be fine. No harm done. They were under the impression that the police were framing Bobby, because how else could this dead dude's DNA get on this dollar bill? So they kind of figure out that, I don't know how they figured any of it out, to be honest with you. I don't remember anymore, and I just read it. Because I just kind of sat back and enjoyed it, like, oh, this is lovely. So they... So the story is told in two points of view. We have Eddie's point of view, and then we have the serial killer's point of view. And the serial killer's having phone conversations with somebody else who is clearly a police officer or some sort of FBI or somebody who has inside information on investigations and also the ability to fuck with people. I don't know. I did think that seemed kind of ridiculous. And then how they figure out who it was and the ties to Pena, that all seemed really kind of extreme also, where they figure out that that dollar bill switched his DNA with Pena. So there must have been a security guard involved at the college where Pena worked, and there was rapists. There was a rapist there, and then there was murders, and blah 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 blah.
Right, and I mean, we didn't touch on like why the book is called 13. And what the whole premise with the dollar bills is, which is
right. Yeah,
13 original states. There's markings on all of the dollar bills that are folded into some, or were they all butterflies?
I don't think they were all butterflies, but they were. I don't know that he even mentioned that.
Marked up in similar ways, like pointing to the same things on these dollar bills. And then they were all found in the mouths of the victims, right? But the cops never pieced together that is something that might imply a serial killer. Just a weird thing that seems to be happening, right? And then one.
But the FBI knew that there was
one victim per original state.
Yeah, and so they were looking for. There was nobody that had been killed in Rhode Island yet. So I mean, they were looking at that.
Big,
right? But then then somebody gets killed in Rhode Island, and the serial killer dude, whose name is
Kane,
Joshua Kane. So he kills. The jury consultant who lived in Rhode Island and pinned it on Eddie.
I mean, did you guys see that happening when he called? Like, you knew that's what was happening, right?
Yeah, I had a suspicion something was up.
When he called and was like, "Oh yeah, yeah,
right, yeah,"
because of course he has some sort of mimicry gene that allows him. Like the Terminator 2, to just assume the look and the voice of anyone.
Right.
So also, he can feel no pain.
Right.
Like literally, he feels no pain at all.
Yeah.
So he has to do
pain receptors. Yeah.
Yeah. So he carries he makes sure that he takes his thermometer and antibiotics with him. If he's not going to be able to be at home, as you do.
As you do, yeah.
As you do.
Because you never know when you're going to have to go out the hotel window and shank a postman or choke somebody. Because that happens every day.
Every day.
I mean, it does to me.
There's nothing weird about that.
No. So his wife, so Eddie's wife leaves him, and he's like, and then so he does this negotiation with the attorney's office who hired him to go after the police. He says, "Why?" Excuse me. So he says, I need a lot of money, and I need a job, and I'm only going to do the things that I want to do, and blah 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 blah.
Weird? Does that seem weird? Okay, yeah. Dude who is trying to get back together with his estranged wife and child, acting as a defender, but only takes cases when he knows that the person is innocent.
Right.
Because that's how defense attorneys work.
No.
So the company tells him, yeah, go ahead. And then once the company, I can't remember who they were or what the dude's name was, but so once the company, the attorneys,
that law firm that's that's
Skynet.
defending Bobby at first.
yeah. The one that was that hired him at first. Once something happened, and then they were like, "Oh, we're out, Eddie. Let's go." And Eddie's like, "No, I believe that he's innocent. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to do it." And for some reason, the jury consultant stayed because he's also some kind of defense attorney wizard guy. I don't know why he stayed. Is that normal?
Juries. He reads juries. He's like the best in his field. He can tell what a jury's thinking, or so he can help.
Oh, and he also, and he was the first one that noticed that that Joshua Kane's face changed. Apparently, he was like, but then just for a second, right?
Yeah, his mind just drifted off for one moment about killing a postman.
It was something like that.
Then he came back.
You and the postman.
So part of the mystery, right, is that you as the reader, you're not 100% sure which juror Kane has assumed the identity of, because apparently he could be like Mrs. Doubtfire and in complete drag and prosthetics right there on the jury, and you would never know.
Now, here's the thing too, okay,
right?
They lead us to believe that he is a specific juror,
right?
And then toward the end, then all of a sudden he's not actually that juror, he's some other juror. And I felt I felt like at that point I was like, okay, that was unnecessary and bullshitty. I mean, because I had just let all the rest of the bullshit just roll over me and not pay any
it was
attention.
Like basically you reached your bullshit saturation point when
I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that was it. Like I had just let everything in, and it was great. And then that was that one last final thing that I was like, I don't think that makes sense.
Is that when they were trying to figure out who the killer was that was on the jury?
It was when they bust into that one dude's hotel room and he pissed himself, and Eddie's right. I can tell when somebody's telling the truth.
Of course somebody's him and his magic unicorn can tell when somebody lies. And that's why, even though he's trying to get a regular job so that he can win his wife back, who's clearly hitting it with somebody else now, he would rather just take cases from people that he feels like are telling the truth rather than secure regular employment.
I mean, it's for the better, for the betterment of humanity. Good. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, his wife seemed kind of like a bitch, so I don't know.
But we didn't read the first 3 books, so we don't know what to put up with either.
I probably would have left him. Yeah, she probably should have left him during the first book, I'm assuming.
And maybe she did, but I don't want to go and read it and find out.
No, me either.
So it's good, Andy. So you kind of feel like I do. Because I had a feeling, right, since you read this weeks ago, that you were like, we should totally read this and this is going to rock. But I guess that's not the case?
When I recommended it, I hadn't read it. I'm like, when I suggested it, I had not read it. So I read it a couple of weeks ago, but much like Sherry, I just suspended the disbelief and just went right through it. There were a couple times I'm like, oh, come on. But mostly it was on to a next exciting adventure. And so I just kind of ignored it. And I kept saying to myself, I should read these stories with a pen and paper in hand so I can jot down the places where I roll my eyes. It's like, oh. But I didn't. I just went ahead and listened to it. And I thought, Yeah, it was largely unbelievable, but the pacing was fast. And okay, I'm not sorry that I read it, but I
Yeah.
certainly don't want to read any more of this saga. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't have an issue with his writing style, right? I liked how fast paced it was.
yeah.
To me, the issues were all plot related, and some of it felt really kind of tropey.
Oh
yeah.
I mean, I mean, both the antagonist and protagonist weren't perfect, and they had their difficulties, but there were parts of the story and how these things were woven in where it was. Yeah, you could tell that was a device to further the plot, but it wasn't really true to life. You know what I mean? So you're like, I know
like the juror just being able to leave and travel to another state and then get back into the secured hotel.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, can we talk about, speaking of hotel, can we talk about the fact that he, the killer, Kane, wanted the jury to be sequestered because I guess then it's closer for him to kill people or whatever the rationale was for why he wanted them to be sequestered.
Yeah.
So he, of course, made various reservations in the hotels that were assumed to be where the federal or state judiciary made reservations to put people up when they're sequestered.
Right,
I mean,
because they're cheap, and so he knew they were going to go through.
It's not something that happens very often, right? I mean, that's not normal. But this guy's like, oh, and I know that they always use the Sheraton and then the Hilton or whatever the fuck, right?
And Grady's Inn or whatever wasn't it called like that? Grady's?
Yeah, Nice Inn or Grady's something.
He makes a bunch of reservations at both and is like, oh, I would like a suite in the middle of the floor on the 5th floor or whatever. Like purposely to disrupt any plans that they would have to book like 14 consecutive rooms. Really? So like by the time we were about halfway to 2/3 of this through, I would go, and of course, and then Laura would come in and be like, is there a problem? I'm like, no, it's just fucking and then I would tell her what happened and she would just sort of slowly back away.
Yeah. So Andy, I think we were talking on the phone when we talked about this, and I went over to Scribd, and Scribd is like, sorry, you have to wait to get that title. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I go to the library, and the library had it. So I'm like, boom, I'm fine. Let's just do this. And then I didn't start reading it until middle of the week this week, I think. And I was like, okay. And it was the pacing was good. There were just so many bullshit moments that, I mean, but I didn't care. It was fine. It was just like when we read the Orphan X books. I mean, it's bullshit. But the pacing is good. The story is good. The story was less good. The plot points in this one were definitely weak. It was like the Orphan X books, the Evan Smoke books. Those remind me of like Mission Impossible movies or something like that, where that it's not real life and
it's bullshit, but
it's not even right. It's not even trying to be real life. It's these are assassins, but this one felt like it was supposed to be in a real world situation, and it definitely wasn't. I mean, none of this would happen. The person I felt the worst for was the ex-police officer who ended up sleeping with the other bad guy. And they didn't even talk about that. Like, she calls her up, the one who always said blow or blow me, whatever.
Yeah.
And, so she she hooks up with this police officer who is tasked with protecting the actor. And so they get close, and Eddie calls her up one night in the middle of the night for something, and the dude is there with her. And then it turns out that he is a bad guy, and that they never gave any it didn't upset me, but it disappointed me that once he was revealed at the end, the serial killer dude is dead, and his accomplice, who by then I knew who it. I mean, we knew who it was before that, but. And all he says is, "I never thought he would die. He didn't feel no pain. He did blah, blah, blah." Well, why did you say, why he
didn't they, when we were in one of the chapters in Kane's POV, didn't he say that he was able to bring that dude in because he wanted to be able to kill people?
Probably, but I mean, so it turns out, so this guy started out, he was a security guard at the college. And he, I don't remember how he met Kane. I don't recall. They just worked there. I don't fucking know. By then it had really just kind of fallen apart for me at that point.
Yeah, I mean, so I think what we can say safely is that this author does not think very highly of the police.
Which I suppose makes sense since he's an attorney.
Mm-hmm. I mean, pretty much every cop in this is crooked.
Or stupid.
Or both, right? It's not like you can't be both.
Yeah,
At one point, they decide that they're going to kill Eddie. They're going to set him up, and it's the standard. He's cuffed in the back of the squad car, and they throw a gun down between his feet, and they're like, "Gun!"
Yeah, in the car while they're driving.
Yeah. Again, that seems totally normal.
And then how the hell? So he while he's in the car, he's got his hands are cuffed in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he can feel his phone in his pocket, but then they don't do it. They don't say anything about him actually using the phone until after he's been rescued, and it says, "Oh, it sent a voice message to the contact who I call, it was the chick who always says,
he didn't have his phone out.
No,
right? I mean, he's using the voice."
And how did
pocket, but it's all just.
How do you fit "blow me" into the conversation? Did he actually say that? Because I don't. He did.
Yeah,
I almost rewound it.
The cops blow me. The chick who was in his phone, of course, under blow me.
Blow me.
So
as you do.
She went and got the judge, and they were like, "Oh my God, let's jump in the car and go find them."
So how much time had elapsed from when he
Because he noticed that they weren't going where they told him they were to take him, because they had no intention of taking him there, because they were going to kill him in the back of the car.
They've got a cop
he pulled out a gun.
And they had that other cop from Rhode Island. And they had. That's right. So what happened was the bad guy cops who weren't working with the killer. They were just shitty, fucking awful cops.
Yeah, you're gonna need to be more specific.
Right? I'm sorry. The cops that beat him up for doing, I don't remember what they did.
Are you sure you enjoyed this book? Because you don't seem to have a lot of detail.
But like I said, I didn't really think about it as I was listening. It was just kind of let it go, let it all just flow. I'm doing reporting, I'm washing the dishes, I'm doing some cooking. No, that didn't really happen. But so the cops come. They were in the courtroom. They had just taken the jury out of the room, and then and meanwhile, so the FBI people are in the courtroom watching the jury, because at that point they figured out that somebody on the jury.
Well, they thought it was originally somebody in the gallery.
Right. Initially, they thought
it was somebody that was watching the trials. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute, somebody on the jury. So then they start watching the jury.
Right. So they send the jury out, take them back to the hotel, or I don't know where the fuck they are.
The hotel where jurors are dying at a rather rapid rate.
That's going to be the next American Horror Story.
Maybe.
Jury duty. American Horror Story. Jury duty.
The judicial system. Dun,
right.
dun,
dun. So they
listening, Ryan Murphy.
That's right. I'm sure he's a regular viewer.
I'm sure he is.
So the jury goes out, and the cops come forward, and they arrest Eddie for the murder of his jury consultant. And Eddie's like, what the fuck? And all of his police and FBI buddies are in the room. So, and they're doing this in front of his best friend, the judge. So
is it normal for people to be attorneys when they are best friends with the judge? Like, that's not.
They addressed that in the book.
They did.
You know,
they addressed it in the book.
That doesn't make it.
No, it's in the book, Colette. Okay, it's in the book, which means it's fine. It's fine.
You know,
it happens all the time.
The way that you're referring to the book, do you guys remember there was a commercial that used to be on in the 80s about this series of Time Life books? And it was a bad commercial, but it was like, read the book. And it talked about all of these phenomena, unexplained phenomena.
I think we had that series of Time Life books when I was a kid.
So one of them was like, so-and-so took a coat hanger and bent it into an ancient Egyptian symbol and pointed it at a pyramid. Read the book. Right? I mean, so when you keep saying it's in the book, I can think of
is that commercial
life series about, well, maybe Eddie should have taken a coat hanger and point it at the pyramid in the form of an ancient, because just because it's in the book doesn't mean that it's not a pile of hot garbage.
I disagree with you, and I feel like there should be vampires in the new Law and Order episodes of American Horror Story.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, there's vampires in this season.
Yeah, I
know. So Carol has. You're still there, right? So Carol is in Provincetown right now, hitting all of the locations. I asked her if she went to the Dick Dock or under the Dick Dock, and that they just went over the Dick Dock. So there's a dock in the story where the hustlers.
We're talking about American Horror Story, you guys. So we went off on another tangent.
Okay, because I was going to say, I was in Provincetown, and I don't remember hearing about the Dick Dock.
Did you hear about the Clit Dock?
I did not.
No. Oh, well, there you go.
When I was there, a nor'easter blew through that grounded us all, and I missed at least one day of work.
I remember you telling that story.
Oh, I've never been, but now, now we're talking about maybe
because, I mean, so you got two options to get in and out of there, right? You either fly into a real airport.
Yeah.
Rent a car and drive all the way up Cape Cod.
They do.
Or you fly into the Provincetown airport, which is the size of a thimble, and their planes hold up to 6 passengers.
Yes, but don't they have a ferry in the summer that'll take you from Provincetown?
Yeah, this was in October, So I have no idea if they have a ferry in the summer. They did not have a ferry working when I was there. It rained every day. I came back incredibly sick because, I mean, I was pretty much poured on with cold rain every day that I was there. And I got so far as I was on the plane, on the runway. And then they said, no, the weather's too bad. You can't leave. So.
Yep. That's how I get there. I fly in. I don't care. Oh, thank you, Carol. Yeah, I fly it. Whenever I've been there 3 or 4 times, I've always just flown in the little puddle jumpers from Boston to P-Town. Because I will say, a 3-hour drive is something ridiculous.
Yeah, and I didn't want to do that either. But I mean, once I got to the airport and you go up to get your boarding pass and stuff, and they're like, "What do you weigh?"
Rude.
Yeah, they have to put you on the plane so they distribute the weight.
I was not prepared for that. Like I had like a backpack and they were like, "What does that weigh? Put it here." And I was like, "Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Like, this is a backpack. This backpack and where it's going to be packed is going to determine if we land or not."
Oh,
That's terrifying.
They got to be very careful. Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun. Fun times.
So
it's worth going, if nothing but to eat at the Lobster Pot. I can tell you that.
I did eat there, and
so
I think
delicious.
I drank some Indian beer. I can't remember the brand. It's like
beer.
Yeah, it was from India.
Huh. I picked up their cookbook.
The Indian beer cookbook?
No. The Lobster Pot cookbook. Yeah. Everything's got like 15 pounds of butter in it, so I haven't made like I'm already have a weight problem. I don't need to do cream and butter for days. Thank you.
So this book. I mean, it was fine. For me, it was fine. It was bullshitty, but
it was fun. It was fun.
It was
from start to finish. It was fun, and there are definitely bullshit moments. There's no.
I do want to say the narrator, I thought, did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there you go. The narrator was good. The premise was good. I thought the execution not as much.
Just be sure to suspend disbelief if you're going to read this one.
Yeah, just turn your brain off and enjoy the ride.
There you go.
And then you'll be all right. If you can read it for free, if you can get it from your library, if you got nothing going on and you're just like,
give it a shot.
Give it a shot. But just it's not. Yeah. So.
So like if you want to like pop your head off and set it down. Read or listen to this book.
There were quite a few smart women in the book. The women were the ones who were figuring shit out, which was nice.
That was nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Was nice.
So were you guys surprised that even though we had this sort of origami butterfly in the throat of the murder victims, there was no reference to Silence of the Lambs?
I did think about it. I wasn't surprised that there wasn't, but I did think it did make me think of Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
But there was no discussion at all about why a butterfly or we really just didn't hear about it. There were a lot of things that were kind of mentioned, but then just not followed up on.
Well, and I mean, so this guy is Dollar Bill, and then of course you're thinking of Buffalo Bill.
Right. Things in the throat and
seemed like there were a lot of correlations here, but none of that was ever sort of mentioned. So I wasn't sure if the author, if it was a sort of less of an homage and more of I really loved
a ripoff.
Right. Because I don't know. I just kind of expected him at some point to acknowledge it. because by the time this book was written, I mean, Silence of the Lambs was decades old.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
And you had the FBI involved and all of that. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what are we feeling for next time? Any thoughts?
That's a good question. I have to look through my wish list and see what I got in there. Maybe share a few
All right.
things. Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, so just my last comment on this book, because I feel like you guys have already moved on, and I'm still.
And you're still wanting
You still have some processing you need to do. It's fine.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Go ahead.
So once again, we kind of fell into this notion that the serial killer is this crazy mastermind who he's brilliant. And of
Yeah.
course, because he doesn't feel physical pain, he's,
He's
got all this
superior,
stuff
got
figured
the edge.
out, and
Mhm.
he's done all these things for years, and nobody has ever even suspected that he has been framing these other people for these murders that he commits. And I don't know, it just brings me back to those like screenshots that I sent you about, the notion that these brilliant serial killers, like here, I pulled one up. Every cop show, damn, this serial killer is crafty, very smart and sneaky. Every true crime podcast, despite dozens of complaints from neighbors, it took over a year for police to investigate the source of the foul odor.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because it's not really how it works.
No.
But there are some really odd tales, though. I've been really steeped into the true crime communities. And there are some stories that you hear that you're not all of them, but there's a good handful or two where the police definitely bungled something, right? That how did they not smell what everybody else in the neighborhood smelled? And when you smell a dead body, that's not like anything you've ever smelled in your entire life, right? And if you're in law enforcement, you probably come across it at least once. How do you not know there's somebody dead in that building?
It does kind of make you wonder about like John Wayne Gacy and those kinds of people, and Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Who wasn't someone literally
delivered back
to Jeffrey Dahmer after he escaped? They were like, "Oh, here we found
your naked 13-year-old boyfriend." Yeah, and he like didn't have clothes on or some such shit.
I mean, that's totally normal. So, I mean, you do kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. Like, how much of this happens because these people are white?
Yeah, there's truth in that. Very much truth in that.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, though.
Maybe we've never read anything on Dahmer.
No, we haven't.
I don't know if they have any decent books on him.
I don't know.
I would wager that there's a bunch of books written about him.
Oh, probably.
Because, for a long period of time, he was the story.
He was.
Right, that everybody talked about.
He was in your backyard, Sherry.
He was, yes.
He did eat his victims, yes.
Yes.
Just a little FYI.
And so then we also had Ed Gein, who ate people and made furniture out of their skins.
Was he the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy?
Yeah, that's where they.
I think so.
It is, yeah. But I think they figured out that basically he wanted to make a mommy suit, which kind of went along with.
Oh, with
Psycho, keep a mom around,
and also making a skin suit that would also be Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, back to Buffalo Bill.
Yeah. Oh, not serial killers.
Dollar Bill, Buffalo.
Dollar Bill and Buffalo Bill.
Right?
Buffalo Dollar Bill.
Buffalo Dollar Bill.
It just felt. In many ways, it felt a little derivative to me, and I expected him at some point to acknowledge it, but that didn't ever happen.
Mm-mm.
Like maybe have Eddie say, "This seems like a cheap ripoff of Silence of the Lambs." Like that? Is that?
Yeah, that would be awesome. Like really self-aware,
Yeah,
that would be good.
I would have appreciated that more.
Yeah.
All right. So I
All right. Well, I feel badly that I've peed on this book for both of you.
No, I'm glad you did.
No. I mean, it wasn't like that one. There was some Aaron Dutton book. Since this is our anniversary show, we'll just go back. I'm going to do a throwback. There was an Aaron Dutton book that I loved. It made my heart happy, and I got all emotional, and Andy pissed all over it, and I was really mad. I was also drinking a lot at that time, so those are my drinking days. And I was very mad. Megan still picks on me about that specific thing. It's like, I don't want to say anything bad about that Aaron Dutton book like Andy did.
Megan's hilarious. Well, I mean, we went up and down around the bend on this one. If you guys can follow the plot. Holy shit. But yeah, there you are. So 13, Steve Cavanagh.
And highly rated.
Yes,
highly rated.
Yes, it was very highly rated.
Tons of people out there giving it 5 stars, and I was very confounded by that.
I feel like I would give it like 3.5, just because I did have fun while I was listening to it.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not 5 stars. No way.
Oh my God, no. Oh, of course, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would give it 3.5 because I had fun while I was listening to it.
Can
it was
you
just
give a half star?
Not on Goodreads, you can't. So I would probably round down on Goodreads, but on I try to use Library Thing a lot. Because it's just a more robust system, and I don't know. It's a lot different than Goodreads. Also, not owned by Amazon.
Yay!
I know you would appreciate that, and you can do half stars on Library Thing. So if you haven't checked out Library Thing, you should, especially if you're really big on organizing and cataloging your books. It's a great system, and it's started by just a couple of people or one dude, and just gone. It's good. Go.
All right, then. No. All right, so we'll figure out what we want to read, and we'll clue you guys in down the road. We have to talk.
Maybe if we feel like it, we'll let you know.
If we feel like it. Well, this has been an interesting show for sure. Lots of dialogue and excitement.
Yeah, everybody's been in kind of a bad place. So it was like we signed on 20 minutes early or so and just kind of stared at each other.
Yeah, it's just, times are hard in general, right? Like for everybody. It's just
true.
A grim time. So,
but we're here with good books, bad books, books,
Books that we're divided on.
Yeah. So, we're here. We're glad you're here. So if you want to kick in, you can look on our YouTube channel up on the top. It's got little links where you can like us on Facebook, or you can give us some money, because we like money and we like to buy books and stuff. And I've got nothing else. Seriously, I'm just done.
So we're going to say goodbye now. Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.